Hey everyone, I'm Michael, and welcome to another video. In this video, I want to give you guys a brief little update on AutoLogic, the program that I wrote that's basically AutoHotkey but Little Big Planet Logic. I've done a lot with it based on feedback from both my Discord server and Trixel Creative's Discord server, which is really nice. Um, I'm still not done. Uh, I'm still not done working with that feedback yet. I've got a lot to work on, but it's still working out, and I'd like to show you guys what I've gotten so far. By the way, if you haven't already joined the Discord server, I'd love to see you there. There's a link in the video description below. And, well, there's an AutoLogic channel there as well. And as suggested by Hunter from the Discord server, we now have a dedicated Little Big Planet chat, so there's that as well. Anyway, let's get into this video. So, the first thing that I have done is I've had it set up so that you can so that it automatically creates a basic logic setup that doesn't really do anything, but it's going to make me a lot easier to demo things. The first thing that I've added is wiring. Now, it's not perfect, it still needs a lot of work, and it's definitely a little buggy at times, but wiring was one of the big feedback items from the Trixel server, so that you can actually see what things are wired into. Now, again, it's not perfect. I still need to work on it. For example, this timer here, it, by the way, tweak menu, I will show you guys that very soon, what it does. But, this timer actually has its output pin connected into its reset pin, but you can't really see it because it's broken. Well, the wire is behind the timer, and I have no way of pathfinding around the timer just yet. I haven't figured it out, but anyway. So that's basically that. Now, I also set it up this way so that I can show you another thing that I've added based on Trixel Creative feedback, and that is a right-click menu. When you right-click on a logic node, you get some options. Now, right now, you can only delete the node, or you can delete all of its connections. Also, if you right-click on an input, you get the ability to delete all of its connections, and same with outputs, you can delete their connections. So that gives you some options with the right-click menu. But really, it's useful for what I'm about to do, and that is delete everything. And as you can see, as I delete these nodes, it does actually update the board and delete all of the connections between them and all that stuff. So it's working pretty well. But there we go. Everything's deleted. So what can we do now? Well, I've added a few sensors to it. A few new abilities to this whole thing, and some things I haven't even fully implemented yet. So I'm going to go over some of the new logic gates that I've added. I've added the Clickinator, which is exactly what it sounds like. You put it on the board and you wire something into it, and when it receives a signal, you can either left or right click your mouse. And it's got a boolean here. By default, it is true. Is left click is true. And then, well, yeah, you can determine whether or not this is a right click or not. So that's handy. Then there is the Hookinator, which, as the description says, as I zoom out here to make sure it's all on screen, this is a way to send a web request when the node receives a signal, which gives this thing a whole lot more power than I ever thought it would be able to. In fact, in the Discord server, we kind of theorized about what it would be like to have Google Assistant integration with this, and how this would be able to work in smart home situations now that I have the Hookinator. The Hookinator doesn't work yet, but whenever I do get it implemented, there's a lot of tweaks. For example, you can set the post body for the request that gets sent out. You could set the API secret if the webhook you're sending to requires that. You can determine whether or not it sets the application/JSON MIME type whenever it sends the request, which gives you some flexibility. And you can determine whether it's or whether it uses a get method or a post method for the webhook. There's all sorts of tweaks that I'm going to add to this, and it's going to be very flexible, but that's the Hookinator. Right now, it does absolutely nothing. It doesn't work. I haven't fully implemented it. But that's something that's coming. Keyboardinator is exactly what it sounds like. It's a node that when it receives a signal, it presses a key. There's no way to set the key yet. By default, it's enter. If you ever see gray text in a tweak menu, it means that I haven't gone ahead and implemented a way for you to actually tweak that value. It's just displaying it to you. So keybinds right now you can't really modify. I have to figure that out. It's actually quite complicated because some keyboard-related events go through Monogame and Thunderhawk Engine, while others go through desktop.robot, and they use different key code formats, and it's very annoying. So I have to figure that out, but until then, whatever. But anyway, then we have the Textinator, which I believe I showed off in the previous AutoLogic key video. And this is fully tweakable right now. You set a piece of text, and you determine whether it had used the shift key. And what that does is, sometimes you might want it to type out capital letters, sometimes you might not, so you have that flexibility. But whatever text you enter here, the engine is going to, as soon as this receives a signal, it's going to type out those keystrokes on your keyboard. So if use shift key is set to false, then these are literal keystrokes, as in, you know, you type a T, and regardless of whether it's lowercase or uppercase, it treats that as a key code and not a character. Use shift key is supposed to let you type actual text out, but it's a little buggy right now. If I were to type the @ symbol, for example, it would type out a 2, even if use shift key is enabled. But it still works, and I'm going to keep this in the board. Hello world. And use shift key. I can't tell if it's true or false right now because Thunderhawk Engine's user interface system is still kind of crappy. I think it's checked right now. But anyway, global sensors. We have a few things. We have a key press sensor, which is simple. It's a keyboardinator, but in reverse. You press a key and it generates a signal. By default, it uses the F2 key. You can't change it yet. But as you can see, there's F2. If you press F2, you might be able to see it for like a split second if you don't blink, but you can see that the keyboardinator I placed down is flashing as I press F2. So we have the keyboardinator. We now have the mouse button sensor, which, like the Clickinator, detects a mouse click, and if the button is held down, the signal is live. As you can see, I'm clicking it and it goes bright. As soon as I let go of the left click, it turns gray again. Right now, there is no way to set whether or not it is the primary mouse button or not, because this is a Thunderhawk mouse button, not a desktop.robot mouse button. So it's not a Boolean. There are more than left and right click in Thunderhawk Engine. But anyway, that's the mouse button sensor. Next, we have the mouse movement sensor. So this allows you to generate signals as the mouse moves. The first pin is your horizontal movement, and the second pin is your vertical movement. So if I move the mouse up, you can see the second pin light up as I move the mouse up and down. As I move it to the left and right, you'll see the first pin light up. Now these are analog signals. So it's not just telling you that the mouse has moved in a particular direction, it's actually telling you how far the mouse has moved and in what direction. So the horizontal one may light up the same color, but as I move the mouse around here, it's gonna distinguish between left and right movement. And I can prove that using direction splitters from Little Big Planet, which I believe is right here. So I'm gonna place 2 of them down. There's no copy-paste feature yet. That was a piece of feedback that Trixel gave to me, but I have not gotten around to implementing that yet. But so if I wire the vertical pin into this direction splitter, and then the horizontal pin into the other direction splitter, you should see the individual directions light up. There we go. So as you can see, as I move to the right, that first pin lights up, and as I move to the left, the second pin lights up. If I move up, the second pin on the second splitter lights up, and as I've moved down, the first pin lights up. So that gives you some amount of flexibility. Now, whenever I get the tweak system fully implemented, you will actually be able to go in and set the sensitivity of this, or the movement speed. Right now it's locked to 4 because I haven't implemented the ability to tweak numbers yet. So that means that a 100% signal will be generated by the mouse movement sensor if the mouse is moved 4 pixels in a given direction. And it will generate an analog signal, so that's pretty cool. So that's the mouse movement sensor. Let's see what else we have in here. I do believe that is actually every global sensor there is. Okay, so now we get on to basic logic, and we've already seen those. We have our AND gate, our NOT gate, our OR gate, and our XOR gate. Those work the same way they do in Little Big Planet. Under advanced logic, we have the combiner, which is the opposite of the direction splitter. We have the counter, we have the splitter, we have the timer, and we have the toggle. And then under uncategorized, I still have not implemented wave generator. But let's set up a simple little mechanism here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete all these, and I'm going to demo this whole thing in action as much as I can, given the limitations that are still in this. So first, I'm going to grab a a key press sensor, which is going to be F2. And then I'm going to grab an OR gate. And there's the OR gate. And then I'm going to wire the key press sensor into the first port, or into the second port of the OR gate. Okay. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab a toggle. And I'm going to put that on the OR gate's output. So there we go. If I press F2, the toggle should come on, and then it should come off. Okay, so now I'm going to take a timer out. And I'm going to create a 4-second pulse generator. So the timer's going to start ticking up. I'm going to take its output and wire it into its reset. Which is going to reset it like that. This is going to work the exact same way it does in Little Big Planet. The timer hits 100%, and then it's going to reset. I'm going to take the toggle and wire it into the timer's input. Alright. So if I press F2, the timer should start. Now, I'm going to take the output of the timer and wire it into the OR gate's first input. Which didn't work. Hang on a second. I will get it. I will get it. Okay, there we go. It worked this time. So, we press F2. The toggle comes on. The timer counts up. And then it shuts itself off, which is good. Now I'm going to grab a Textinator. Alright, and I'm going to wire that into the toggle's output. Alright. I'm going to set use shift key to on. Then, I'm going to grab a key press. Or a keyboardinator, sorry. And I'm going to put this on the timer's output. By default, this presses enter. Now, if I press F2, it should type out some text, and then 4 seconds later, press enter. Let's try it in Discord. As you can see, it worked. And with that said, that's going to do it for this video. So yeah, I almost lost my train of thought there. But I'm really happy with how this is turning out. It's giving me a lot of neat ideas for use cases for this. For example, I could, especially if I got Google Assistant working, I could actually have this, I could go like KO Google, um, open all of my programming IDEs, and then I could have a series of logic gates that open up WebStorm and Rider and all that stuff. That would be interesting. By the way, I said KO Google so that I wouldn't trigger your Google Assistant. Anyway, that'll do it for this video. As always, I've been Michael. I hope to see you guys in the next video. I hope to see you on the Discord. As always, I hope you learned something. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching.